Welcome to LaChance Encounters. I'm here today with Zach Lansing. Zach is currently on a journey to be a professional athlete, which is kind of something he's worked towards his whole life. I'm just going to let Zach tell us what's going on in his life right now.
So last week, I got flown out to Vegas by the UFC and Power Slap to participate in a training camp. And it couldn't have gone better. I went out there and I really showed everybody what I could do. I went out there with the most intensity, the most meaning, and I left everything out there and I made an impression on everybody there. Right now, I'm just waiting for a phone call. I've been calling people out. I'm ready for this.
You calling out other fighters?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, getting it going already.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny. So I did MMA very briefly. I'm an undefeated pro fighter, 1-0.
There you go. Me
and Habib, both undefeated. But I was always kind of opposed to the shit talk. Mm-hmm. Like I would see early on, it was like Tim Sylvia would talk a lot of shit on all his opponents. And then, later on you had Ronda Rousey. And then of course, like the Diaz's, and like all that. And I was always like, opposed to that type of I always thought you should really respect your opponent because that person's giving you license to basically try to kill them in that cage, And with Power Slap, that's even more like you don't defend yourself. Yeah, yeah. You just sit there and let your face get slapped by another person your size. And for those of you that are only listening via audio and not seeing the video, if you know me, Zach makes me feel small. So This is you're looking at a monster across from you that you're just like, hey, slap me in the face. What mentality do you have that makes you want to do that?
I want to go through the most basically extreme thing and come out and look everybody in the eyes when I fly home and let them know that I did it and I succeeded, right? I want him to win that coin toss. I want him to hit me first.
I remember Forrest Griffin, like when the big Ultimate Fighter finale that they credit for saving the UFC. I remember him saying, they asked him, what's your game plan? And he was like, I don't know. I'm going to just go out there and get punched in the mouth. I'm sure Stefan will have no problem punching me in the mouth. that sounds like that's what you're going into this. Like, you're like, let's feel it and let's give it back, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like going into a sport like this, knowing what's going to happen, that's the only attitude I can have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've done Lord knows how much training in my life. I know what it feels like to get punched in the mouth. I know what it feels like to get kicked in the head. I got kicked in the jaw probably 2 days before I went down there. This is nothing new to me. And, on the trash talk side, I wouldn't even say there's any animosity. It's just I want to be where they're at.
Yeah.
And I know they're standing in front of me doing that. There's no animosity, nothing but love. But I will fire with every muscle in my body into their skull.
Yeah, I remember my opponent, my single opponent, he was the type that needed to get he walked by me like, hey, what's up, Steve? He just kind of growled and walked by. And I was like totally just like, whatever. This is a game to me. I didn't never felt. And then I trained with other guys, sparred with other guys where it's the day of their fight, they're a different person.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk to them. They're going to be just a prick to everybody because they're just getting in that mode of I am only a killer. It's kind of interesting to see the psychology of that. And then it's like you have people like that and then you sit down and have like a real chat with them or do normal activities and they are very normal people usually.
Yeah, we actually had another super heavyweight in the camp. And man, we were like good friends the whole time. And obviously we might end up having to fight each other. And I got nothing but love for that guy. But nothing but love. But if he gets in front of me, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I just want what everybody has. I want my name in lights.
Now you had previous martial arts experience?
I've been kickboxing and boxing since I was like 10. I teach kickboxing at Bare Knuckle Murphy's in Manchester. Big hobby of mine, something I've always loved to do. I love to just spar, train, get on in there. I think it's important for everybody to know how to fight. I really do. I think it's a life skill.
Yeah, I would agree. I wish I didn't slack off. And, I last time I went back, man, I was like, this hurts so much more. I'm 41 years old. And I was going day classes because I have a child. I try to be home at night. My job takes me away nights and weekends a lot anyway. So I was like, I don't go to these day classes, but the day classes are younger guys because younger guys have these night jobs or they're in college. They might not have class on Tuesday or whatever. And I'm like, these guys are beating the piss out of me, and I'm in pain for 4 hours. I couldn't do it. I was like, I just can't even do this anymore. It's funny too, because that was all just jujitsu.
Yeah.
It's like getting punched and kicked and hit isn't actually the worst of it.
No.
Like you recover from that way quicker than like getting slammed or thrown.
Oh, yeah.
Like my neck was so fucked up every time. I was crazy.
I'd always say the worst thing is leg kicks.
Brutal. Yeah. People don't, you hear people that don't train or never been in a fight, and they'll be like, what's the point of that? Like just kicking them in the leg. Oh, it's the worst.
You feel it for days.
Yeah. I remember one of my first coaches, I had caught him, and the next day he's like, I thought about you when I was in bed with my wife last night. We were getting busy and I couldn't move my leg. Like, I was like, yeah, it happens.
The worst part about leg kicks is that you can't even, it hurts to block them too.
Right.
You can check them and it hurts, or you get kicked and it hurts.
Well, also, I mean, we've seen, there's a very famous one, but it happened before. Like Anderson Silva, though, everybody's seen that clip of his leg just breaking over that other guy's shit.
Yeah, I mean, if you check a leg kick perfectly, I mean, the object of when you're checking leg kick is to deflect that power, and it can easily snap somebody's leg.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing that we have this, a bunch of different sports where essentially the object is within the rules to hurt that person as much as you can hurt them. And people forget, people die from punches. I mean, it's not like, I remember years ago, I went to a seminar with Pat Miletich. That was in the days he was like training Matt Hughes and stuff. And he was like, he said, nobody's died in a sanctioned MMA fight, but it's going to happen. Just know that. Just if you're getting in there, know that you might die, that you might kill the other person. This is a guy teaching us how to do it. It's like, wow, he's right. And it did end up eventually. There have been deaths in sanctioned MMA now, but I don't know. I should check my facts before I ramble out. But I think it has happened finally now. But it did happen in boxing.
Yeah, I mean, it happens in boxing all the time. Boxing is, I think, something that people don't realize is that, like with boxing, so let's say, you have somebody that doesn't have knockout power, but they have great technique, so they can sit there and punch you in the head for 12 rounds. That's what kills people, right? Not the knockout punch, right? That's your brain protecting itself, believe it or not, to restart it. When somebody can stay up for 12 rounds, it's usually what kills them. Yeah, for sure. And it's
20 deaths in UFC, and not in UFC, 20
in
deaths in MMA so far.
Yeah. This was like over a decade ago that I was, almost 2 decades now that I was doing it, where Pat had said no one had died yet, but it's way bigger than it was back then. We weren't even in unified rules yet when I did it. Wow. It was US kickboxing rules. So they're 4-minute rounds. We couldn't elbow, and no knees to the head. That was which for me, being a regular working guy, the no elbows was awesome because it's like,
you don't want to be cut up.
Yeah, cut the shit from those elbows, man. It destroys you. That's what I always thought. I remember watching it real early when Yves Edwards had this like gash on his head that was like, I mean, there were just pools of blood around the cage, and I was like, nah, I'm not interested. I'm glad there's no elbows. Thank you for those rules. Did you ever compete with kickboxing?
No, I really was struggling with my kidney disease for a long time. Currently, man, it took me probably about 8 years to get fully healthy.
Wow. So what was the kidney disease?
IgA nephropathy. So basically, what it does, it's an inflammatory disease, and it basically, my kidneys don't process protein, believe it or not. Okay. So protein really doesn't, my body doesn't filter it right.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really make. That's what I said.
I'm like, when did you find out you had this?
I got diagnosed, I want to say at about 14. I remember I flown out to Arizona to play some national football game. And I came back and I just felt dog sick. My legs started swelling up. And I started getting these horrific full body cramps. And doctors couldn't really figure it out until, they tested blood work and, yada, yada, yada.
So were you played football? Were you a big muscular kid too?
Yeah, always been.
Did this come on, or was it said that you had it like from birth, or how does it develop?
It's genetic. It kicked in. So when I was a kid, you're gonna laugh at me, but always been obsessed with being as big as possible. always been obsessed with building muscle. So I was watching these strongman videos, and they were like, you need to have 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight.
I remember that theory.
So I was 12 years old, and I started doing that. I had no carbs at all. So I'd have all these grams of protein. And basically, I think that's kind of what kick-started this kidney disease, woken it up, because it was...
You had the genes, but then you're like, hey, let's throw more protein in my body than any 12-year-olds ever dreamt of putting in their body. Yeah, I remember the hearing those similar theories when I was like, I power lifted, not for sport, but just I had a home gym and would do powerlifting stuff. And, I got nothing crazy, but I got to like a 600-pound deadlift, but I couldn't bend over in time. I wasn't athletic. I couldn't tie my shoes. I was winded doing anything, but I remember that theory. And it was like, I was like 330 pounds, like 300 or like 1.5. What is it? 500 grams of protein.
Yeah.
There's not enough eggs around now.
There's not enough chickens.
But it's like you're just eating just powders nonstop to do that.
Which I think, and I'm happy, I feel like they're kind of getting away from that a little bit. I feel like you can get enough protein through a good diet. Yeah. That's like something I'm doing right now. I've been doing it for years, which obviously when it's working with my body, I feel great. I feel athletic. I'm just happy to wake up every day.
Yeah, I was thinking while you were saying that you had a protein processing issue that like most people watching this like, give me that protein processing issue. Like any of the scrawny guys I know that like have a hard time developing muscle, like they just dream of like, being able to do what you've done with yourself. I remember I was a friend of mine I used to lift with. He could never gain weight. I mean, it was like he would bench press like 210s on the bar, and like he was 130 pounds, and then started sticking the needle in the ass. And like he went to the doctor the next time, and as soon as the doctor walked in after the nurse did all the vitals and whatnot, the doctor goes, "So when did you start taking steroids?" Like she just knew it like instantly.
I mean, you can't fake blood. You can't fake blood test results.
Yeah, they hadn't done a blood test. She just knew from like having him as a patient for all these years. And like his weight was just like this, and then just went boom. Yep. But it was crazy to watch him suddenly go from a 90-pound bench press to multiple plates and like very quickly. Yeah. But yeah, most people that's what my whole point was. Most people would dream, but you probably don't want what you had. What did you go through? Other than that, and like how long and what did you do to get under control?
So I went through absolute hell with it. I didn't really talk about it with a lot of people. I felt shame as a kid with this. I didn't want pity. Right? I didn't want anybody looking at me with pity. Yeah. But there were, I'd wake up and piss blood every day. Like, there was days where I'd be in bed for days on end. I don't, if you have, at least with my experience with kidney failure, you have the craziest feeling of tiredness you've ever felt. You cannot fight it. The best way to describe it, it's just like a tsunami. You cannot fight it. I would stay in bed for days, and my poor mother would come down checking on me, worried, and I didn't want to go to the hospital. Yeah. There was just days were rough. The medicine was brutal. I'd wake up and just feel like shit from the medicine itself. The heat used to just bury me. Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, like, I worked out consistently, no matter what, no matter how I felt. My thought process with the gym is a shitty workout is better than no workout. So
yeah, a good friend of mine I used to ride mountain bikes with. He's consistent. He's always, and I'm a yo-yo. Like I get way into things and I disappear and then I come back. But I'd always be like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going so slow. And what he said, you're still going faster than the guy on the couch.
Exactly.
And that always sticks with me whenever I do actually try to discipline myself. It's like, okay, even if I'm just doing a walk each day just to get started. If I've been doing nothing, the walk's still better. But yeah, you were able to keep going and working out through all that pain and suffering is pretty impressive.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a mindset, right? I just wanted to make something out of myself, right? And I feel like I got blessed genetically other than this kidney disease, right? I've always been the strongest kid. I've always been the biggest kid. I've always also had a couple screws loose in my head to where I could bring more out of my body than I think most people can bring out of their body.
I think anybody that accomplishes anything at any sort of high level always has some screws loose.
Yeah, exactly. Like
there's something that causes you to push through pain and push through suffering and be miserable to. I'm the one breaking chairs in here. That's kind of crazy. Push through. Push through everything and persevere. Like you got to have those screws loose. I think it's a thing.
And something like I tell my girlfriend all the time, man, I'm not afraid of anything when it comes to this. Like I've come very close to death. I understand what it feels like when you're dying. I know what that feels like. I've been medevaced to hospitals. I've been carried out of my house. I don't know how many times as a child. I've spent weeks in hospitals.
Yeah, so you're like, who cares about getting slapped?
Yeah, I don't care exactly.
Yeah,
these guys,
right.
they haven't been to the hell I've been to. They don't understand it. I feel great, and I'm so thankful to feel good and health wise, and I can do basically at this point anything I want because of my health. I'm happy at this point in my life. Everything's coming together at the right time. I'm in a good relationship. I just got my own condo. Like I'm happy, man. Like life's good right now, and I'm ready to step into this next level of my life and be competitive and do something great and see my name in lights.
So what do you have going on now that stops that kidney failure from being an issue? Are you cured of it? Or
No, there's no cure. It's always gonna be laying dormant. I have my diet has to be pretty clean. I try not to eat any bullshit.
I almost, when people have that, I'm almost like envious because I can kind of eat everything and survive. There's nothing stopping. I almost wish I was just bad food would make me sick. If pizza would just make me sick, I'd probably stop eating it. Although this isn't true because I went on Ozempic for a bit.
Yeah.
And I just ate right through it, even though it made me feel like shit to eat right through it. So maybe that's not even true.
Did you lose any weight on it?
I did at first, and then at some point I just got back to doing what I was. My wife's on it, and she's probably mad at me if I talk about it publicly. But she's lost a bunch of weight doing it, and she feels great. She loves it. But yeah, for me, I was like, this sucks. I don't want anything to do with it. You mentioned before we started recording the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yep.
I had a cousin that actually they helped him out. It was funny. They were like, you can have anything you want. He was pretty young. He was born had to have open heart surgery.
Yep.
He's 4 days old.
Oh.
He's had a bunch of surgeries. It's always an issue. But they're like, you can have anything you want. And he's just like, I want a new computer. So they got him the nicest computer, the nicest desk, just anything that they could come up with to add to the package. Every game and software they could possibly get it. And this is the late 90s, so it was a Windows 95 computer.
Yeah,
but yeah, what did you get out of that experience?
So I'll tell you how it started. I was in the hospital and I was there for a couple of weeks or something, and I had a social worker come up to me and be like, "Hey, you're eligible for Make-A-Wish." And I'm like, oh man, I hear that. I'm like, am I that bad off?
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's a death sentence. The comedian Shane Gillis has
where's John Cena?
Yeah. Dave talks about the Down syndrome kids, and he's like, if you see John Cena, you're in trouble. No, that's the Grim Reaper for those guys. Yeah.
But so basically, actually, my first wish was to meet Ray Lewis, and he said no. I'm a diehard Baltimore Ravens fan. And he said no.
Wow.
So
Ray Lewis has never seemed like much of a nice guy.
Yeah. But man, that broke my heart.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
But
how old were you at this time?
I want to say 13, 14, about that age, something along that line. So after that, I'm like, okay. They're like, what else would you want? I'm like a huge UFC fan. You know what I mean? I was boxing at that time, trying to as much as I could at that, that's how sick I was. So they asked me, and I wanted to meet Cain Velasquez. So, they flew me down for UFC 170.
Yeah, you love all the most violent people possible. Between the Sean Strickland shirt, who do we just talk about from the Ravens?
Ray Lewis
and Cain. There's some crazy people. Continue that.
But so basically, they picked me up in a limo. They took me to the airport in the limo. They flew me. Great seats. They flew me down, picked me up. Then they took me. We were staying at the MGM Grand. So they picked me up in a limo, took me to the MGM Grand, and the first day was just UFC day for me. It was I didn't even go to sleep. It was like this. I got off the plane, changed. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna take you to the Tough House." Well, I mean, the Tough, where they have the fights, and you have to sign NDAs, can't say where it is and stuff.
Were they actually filming The Ultimate Fighter at the time?
Yeah, so you can see me in an episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so episode 2 of Velasquez versus Verdum. If you look during the fight, you can see me in the audience with my dad.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So, I saw that and was able to watch that fight live, which was really cool. I was, not a lot of people get to go watch an Ultimate Fighter fight live.
Yeah.
So, and then, just the next day, like...
That was like in the gym? Like,
oh, yeah.
Not one of the
that was
on TV fights.
That was...
the arena fights.
No, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, not one of the arena fights.
What's crazy about that? I remember that happening, and I thought you were like... In my head, I met you when you were like 16, 17. Apparently, you were just like 13.
Yeah.
Still looked... And I'm pretty sure you were still playing football, right?
Yeah.
And like,
leave the kids alone, Nick.
Dude, so he was... just to show like what a genetic freak he is, he was still getting scouted by colleges to fucking play college ball in D1 while he was fucking dying from kidney failure.
Yeah, that's I mean, we probably wouldn't be sitting here had you not had the kidney failure. Probably on to do
I'd probably
big things years ago.
Yeah, probably. But hey, it's working out.
Yeah.
But so
that's why people forget life is long. The one thing going wrong doesn't mean your life is over.
Yeah, and even without look what I'm doing currently, like, I still have a good paying job. I'm happy. I take vacations all the time. Like, I'm thankful for that, But back to like the Make-A-Wish stuff, I'm gonna walk you through everything with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we had one of the UFC executives, his name's Stephen Quinn, and he showed us around. He would just be somewhere, he'd be like, "Hey, do you want to meet Anthony Pettis?" I'd be like, "Yeah, let me meet Anthony Pettis." Yeah. He'd be like, "Do you want to meet Dana White?" I'm like, yeah. He goes, I'll call Dana White. Now comes Dana White. But a lot of guys from like AKA back then, they were doing a lot of stuff with me. I hung out with Josh Thompson a lot. Like for like a whole day, I was chilling with Josh Thompson. So that was really cool. Josh Thompson was a really big lightweight contender back then. But so at UFC, the night before UFC 173, I got to have a dinner with Kane. It was Kane and his wife, and my whole family was there. It was like this suite somewhere in the MGM Grand with like in one of their restaurants. It was a Mexican restaurant. I really like Mexican food. Love tacos. And so me and Kane, we sat down. We had dinner. We sat there for about 5 hours.
Wow! And
I was able to ask him anything I wanted. I asked him everything. Everything. I asked him about like what sports he played. He played football in high school. He played the same position I played. So I asked him about his college wrestling. Asked him what it was like to beat on Brock Lesnar. Asked him about potential fights with John Jones. Asked him what he thought about Fedor. There's a lot of really cool things in
yeah, I mean, as a kid, I'm a fan of anything to sit there and get to talk that stuff with somebody that is at the top of that game is just unreal.
Yeah, and so
that would have been baseball for me when I was a kid.
Oh yeah,
I would have loved to. It was, pre-Yankees Roger Clemens. I would have loved to sit down and talk with him. But once a Yankee, I'll never talk to you again. But yeah, no, that's where baseball players. I would have been the same way. That would have been just amazing.
So after we get done eating, he says to me, he goes, "Do you want to meet Daniel Cormier?" And DC was cutting weight for his first fight against Dan Henderson on UFC 173. And I'm like, fuck it, I want to meet Daniel Cormier, you know? So, I'll never forget this. I walked through the MGM Grand with the current heavyweight champion of the world with security detail. Like, this security detail was serious. We're talking, all these dudes were SEALs. All these dudes were just Navy SEALs. Guys were running up to us and they're like pushing them away. It was one of the craziest experiences walking through the MGM Grand with the current heavyweight champion. And people are just getting whisked away by these, Navy SEALs. I
actually literally almost ran into Nick Diaz walking through MGM. I was just out there on vacation. My wife and I had done like a little Southwest road trip. We went to the Grand Canyon, some of the other national parks, and we ended in Vegas just to relax for a few days before we flew back. And it was, I don't know which I don't know which number McGregor and Diaz fight. It was Nate, not Nick. Yeah. But It was one of them. It was the one where they had the press conference where they started throwing stuff at each other.
Yeah.
Whichever one that was. And I just happened to, we were just day drinking in Vegas, and like, we came out of the pool and like we walk in and there's a big crowd going in one direction. We're like, where are you going? Like, oh, UFC weigh-ins. We're like, okay, we followed. It's free. We followed, went in and watched the weigh-ins. All the Irish guys chanting for McGregor was like unreal. Just they're doing their like soccer hooligan stuff, and that was really fun. They're like handing out Irish flags and stuff. Then but later on, they had that press conference where and I didn't realize that's what had just happened. And Nick's walking towards me, and I was like the first public person to notice him, and I stopped him for a picture. He just yanked my phone out of my hand and took the picture and handed it back to me. And then like everybody started flocking over. His security was like, "You guys better stop, or he's just going to start swinging."
Yeah, he's gonna get really mad.
Like their job, they're like you size guys. Nick's not a big guy. Not saying he wouldn't fuck everybody up that was there, but those guys were just like, hey, he'll do it. Yeah, we don't need to do it. We're just going to warn you that
he's going to warn you. He's getting mad. No, it's funny, but like, so when you're at like the MGM Grand during fight week, you see fighters everywhere. I kept running into Pat Barry everywhere, and I am down for, I don't know why I was. I'd see one of them. I love Pat Barry. Dude was a monster, like hyper die, like real Pat Barry. You know, that guy would do, you know, every time he got in a ring, it was either he get knocked out or knock somebody out. And so I'd see Pat Barry, I'd stare him down every time, and he didn't know I was a Make-A-Wish kid either until like, I think the third time he like walked up to me and he's like, are you a fan, man? And he actually ended up taking a picture of me. He posted on his Twitter saying with like a funny caption, like, we're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, they're probably not used to seeing big Make-A-Wish kids, right?
Yeah, it was
usually, weight loss comes with a lot of illness, right?
Yeah, well, the thing with prednisone, man, it does the opposite.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, thanks for that.
Yeah, but so Kane took me up to meet DC. DC was still in like his like sweatsuit, and he came out, spent some good time with me, talked to me. He talked to me about he dealt with kidney failure when he was in the Olympics, and how that really hampered his Olympic experience. So we talked about that, and then he went back to cutting weight, and that meant a lot. Cutting weight when you've dealt with kidney problems, that's not something you're going to have to deal with, is it? It's in the super heavyweight, right? Yeah. I clocked in at 375 at camp. What's the cutoff for super heavyweight? 265 and up. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I used to, when I do grappling tournaments, because I'm big, but I shouldn't be this big. My true like in shape weight is around 200 pounds. Like I would have to cut weight to just not be in super heavyweight, because I'm like, these guys are like, I was 240 sloppy, and it's like guys like you that are just gonna throw me through a wall. So I'd cut weight to just get into the regular heavyweight slot. Yeah. So I'm not fighting monsters. No, I mean, I'm kind of debating on getting up to 400 pounds for this. So I was like talking to a lot of the coaches about it, because like, what's the biggest guy now? What's the champion weighing at? Dumpling. I think he's about 400. Okay, so it's not out of the realm. No, not out of the realm. But I heard, don't quote me on this, I heard he's moving down in weight. I heard he wants to drop to 265, and if you look at his matches, from 400, he's got some weight on him. So if you look at his last couple matches, it looks like he's dropping weight. So for if a 400-pound guy, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me it sounds like if a 400-pound guy could feasibly drop to 265, probably shouldn't be a 400-pound guy, right? Yeah. I mean, I've been kind of thinking, man, maybe I could drop to 265 and just be shredded. I mean, you might as well compete like Mr. Olympia. Like you at 265 would be shredded. Would be ridiculous. You'd see every single vein on your body for sure. But yeah, so there's a lot of definitely they have a couple 400 pounders. McKinney Manu, who's actually one of my favorite strikers in Power Slap, who I got compared to by Anthony Blackburn, which I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But he's like 5'10". Little over 400, and just big Samoan guy. We put similar numbers up in the weight room, so that's definitely pretty comparable in a lot of stats. Some guy I've been watching in Power Slap for a while, so I was like pretty ecstatic when I. What's your score on the punching machine in the arcade? I'm on the arcade. I'm hitting nines everything over 900. My friend Sean, he like posts on Instagram
Like every time he's around one of those, he does it, and he's a jack guy too. And he does like he sets the record on every single one of them in like the 960s, 970s, I think. And he's like, anybody challenge me? I'm like, I think I got to. I think I might have the challenger for you, Sean.
Yeah, hey, I mean, hey, let's pull up to any punching machine out of the arcade. I'm down.
All right, it'll be remix roller skating at 5 o'clock today. We got the match is set.
Meet me at
calling you out.
We're making this short. We're making that short.
We're making what short?
We'll do that as a fucking
collaborative
post between you and.
We really just need to get Nick a microphone.
I know.
I'm telling you, the next time
he's just pacing around.
Yeah, sit down, dude. Sit down. No, producer Nick is a wonderful asset for the show. I can't wait to fire him. Meet Daniel Cormier. That's awesome. He's always seemed like a very nice guy to me.
Yeah,
he seems like a legit nice guy.
Yeah, like I said, like that guy didn't have to take any time out to chill with me, and especially when he's cutting weight. Right now, I think he does a lot of broadcasting for the UFC, obviously, and he coaches wrestling. So he's coaching like these high school wrestling teams. I couldn't imagine.
You hear that all the time, like for big time professional athletes, like coaching high school, like their kids' teams. Like, just imagine that's your coach in high school. It's crazy.
Well, could you imagine competing against somebody? There's DC out there. Like,
I mean, just Belichick going back to college is like kind of wild. He's probably more suited for it, honestly, but we'll see. He may dominate.
Yeah, we'll see.
Or maybe he's just lost his magic completely.
Maybe he's just using as a cozy little, part-time job.
Yeah, go home to his 19-year-old girlfriend.
Yeah. And we scouting UNC.
So what was that? Was that the whole experience? Was there more to that?
So after that, so it was UFC 173 that day, and they actually took me to some like press conference for it was a fight for Ronda Rousey against Alexis Davis. And so I was there at that press conference just chilling, and they took me into the
Did you meet Ronda?
Oh yeah.
How was she?
She's
one that doesn't feel like a nice person to me.
No, Ronda was nothing but nice to me. I was like completely starstruck.
Yeah.
I was just a child, so I was like sitting there, and I naturally have a stutter. So it was really coming out. The more nervous I get, the more I stutter, which I haven't been stuttering in interviews, which I'm like ecstatic about.
We found the cure.
Yeah.
Put a camera in front of your face.
Put a camera in front of me. I'm not stuttering.
Yeah.
But Ronda was awesome. So that fight UFC 173 was TJ Dillashaw versus Renan Barão. And so Uriah Faber was TJ Dillashaw's coach, and he asked me behind like the scenes of the press conference, he was like talking to me. I have a picture with him too. He's like, "Oh, who do you think's gonna win?" And I'm like, honestly, Renan Barão. And then it went on to be one of the biggest upsets of all time. Renan Barão got absolutely beat on for 4 or 5 rounds. Lost his title. TJ Dillashaw obviously went on to be one of the greatest bantamweights ever. Absolute. His footwork's amazing. His angles really made him special.
And Uriah Faber still blaming that damn Make-A-Wish kid for cursing his pal.
Yeah. I mean, no, he went on to win. And Uriah was like, "Oh, I think you're wrong, man." Like he was like, TJ's gonna win. Like I think you're wrong. He was trying to be as nice as possible.
Uriah was TJ's corner.
Yeah.
I had it backwards.
No. So that was. I can't believe I thought about that like years later. I had told Uriah to his face that I thought this fighter was going to lose a championship fight.
Yeah.
But hey, the kids are honest.
Right. That's the great thing about kids. They don't lie until they actually, once they learn to lie, it's terrible.
Yeah. Once
your child learns how to be manipulative.
Yeah. Once you're in middle school,
So what do you do currently for day job?
I'm actually a floor host at the Millennium Cabaret.
Oh yeah. Nick actually did mention that. Yeah. What's that like?
Honestly, it's great.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with it. I've been there. Started off as a summer job, and then I'm like, wow, like, I'm doing pretty good here. I'm super happy with it. My boss is a great guy. My boss has been nothing but patient with me with this. When I need time off, he's more than willing to help me.
I think what's kind of a great thing of the last probably decade has been like, there is so much ability now for people to go off and do their own whatever. Yeah. And less people feel like they need to be loyal to a boss. So if you're in a company and you're valuable to them, I think there's a lot more wiggle room than there was a decade ago. Like most management and bosses kind of look at it as like, okay, I need to keep this valuable employee. If I need to work around something to keep them, they will, you know? And I think that's like, that's a product of really the internet to me. It's like everybody knows what they're worth. Everybody knows easily where to go find another job. Everybody has avenues to just make money on their own. Like,
yeah, I mean, he shows me a lot of appreciation on everything. You know, I can't ask for a better boss. Honestly, management there is great. There is great.
And I'm sure the ladies feel very safe.
Oh yeah. No, we don't have our security team there is awesome. So
I'm not. You would cost them sales. I ain't buying a lap dance with you around. This guy's gonna crush my skull if I look at this lady the wrong way.
No. It's actually a lot of it's more sales than security, believe it or not.
Okay.
So that's like, you know, I'm upselling stuff. You know, if somebody likes a certain kind of girl, I introduce them.
Interesting.
It's
you're like the Pornhub search engine.
kind of, but no, it's a great job.
Hey, Zach, you got any stuck in a dryer?
I don't know.
Stepsister work here?
No.
Will this lady call me Big Brother? Oh man, there's another problem with there's the opposite of the flip side of the internet is that we all know exactly what we're referencing right now.
Yeah.
What did you? So did you go to college?
I went to NHTI, criminal justice. I did criminal justice, and I'm just like sitting there, and I was working day shift at the club. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of working out for me.
Day shift at a strip club is depressing to me.
Yeah, I mean, hey, to you, but you know,
I mean, if you're getting paid, who cares?
Yeah.
But I've been in some day shift.
Yeah, no, hey,
it's very weird. Up in Maine, they had I don't know what that place is called. And that was Mark's show place when I was a kid, which is funny because the one you worked at was that too at one point. I don't know if they were the same company, but whatever. It's right off the highway when you get up there. And I forget about it, except I go up for Thanksgiving to my sister's house every year, and that's where I get off. And on the sign on Thanksgiving, they'll have open at 4 p.m. on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But anyway, for years they had the topless donut shop. And all it was they'd bring in Dunkin' Donuts coffee and Dunkin' Donuts donuts, and you could get lap dances while you had coffee.
That's crazy.
I remember going in there in like 2005 or something, and I was like, 10 a.m. on a weekday at a strip club. I can't get any lower than this. There's no way to go any lower than this. This is my rock bottom.
But yeah, I mean, hey, some people like it. And, you know, our clientele is great. I got nothing but love for our clientele. We have a lot of good regulars in there. You know, I'm not going to say any names, but
yeah, maybe they're in this office right now. We are pretty close. No. All right, let's circle all the way back around. So, what's the future hold for you with Power Slap? Like, what are the next steps, and when might we see you?
So they haven't announced the next fight card yet, and like I said, I'm still waiting to be signed. I've been calling out Slaps for Cash. So that's the guy I want. He's ranked number 10 for super.
That's his name?
Yeah.
Did he change his name to that?
I don't think it's legally that name.
That's just
what he. I don't know. I guess that's just what he wants to be called. But you know, I don't know, man.
I want to hit him.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for that name.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Weird name.
It's terrible.
Weird name. But so he's been slapping people on the internet forever, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, he's like, I want to say 450.
So it was the thing he was doing outside of Power Slap. He was doing
yeah. So he was doing stuff outside of Power Slap way before, like 2012 kind of stuff. But you know, so I've been calling him out, and I got no animosity towards him. You know, I got nothing but love. But I want what he has.
Yeah,
I want his ranking. You know, he has a huge following on Instagram. It's 1 million followers. I want that. You know, I want to be known.
Well, I'll get you like 6 or 7 after this podcast.
I'll take 6 or 7. You know, I'll take 5. But so yeah, I've been calling him out. Like I said, I really no animosity. I just want to have a chance, and I think he'd be a good first fight. I think obviously I'd come out on top. I want him to win that coin toss, let him hit me first. I want to feel it. I want to taste my own blood. I want to feel alive a little bit. When it comes
if you don't go first, you get knocked out. It's over.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, right.
To want, that's some grown man shit right there. To go, yeah, I'll take it first.
Yeah, no,
when you could just lose instantly.
If I could write my contract, if me and him signed a fight, I would let him go first.
Let's put that in the contract.
I want that so bad. I want to feel that. I want to feel alive with that. And I'm gonna once it's my turn, I'm gonna squat down and push up off the floor with everything I have and crash my hand into his head.
What do you think of his power? Now, are you saying, what I'm getting at is, are you saying this because you don't think he hits hard? Or are you saying this because you're like, he hits hard and I want to show that I can take whatever anybody can give me?
I mean, anybody at that 450 pound size is going to hit hard.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows how to move his body the way he should, right? I think that's something that makes me different from all these fighters. I'm flexible. I can do a full split, right? I'm going to squat down to the floor and explode up with my hand crashing into his head, right? I don't think he can do that, right? I'm a natural athlete. This is a sport that's tailor-made for me. I have big shoulders, big lats. I got nothing but power. I'm not going to say he doesn't hit hard, but I don't think he knows how to harness it. I don't think he understands the kinetic chain of the body like I do. Something I've been studying since I was a child.
Read a book, dude.
Yeah, read a book, or read a book, get a good boxing coach, shout out Linda Murphy.
Murphy's is awesome. I've only, I've known of Murphy's forever because I was doing MMA and stuff, but I've only actually been there for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
When WAW
they used
was
to have
doing
that.
I loved Frank Bones and Greedy. They were CIA. They were tag team.
Yep.
But one of the best matches, it wasn't there. It was another location. Well, I still will say, if another friend of mine agrees, one of the best wrestling matches I've ever seen was CIA versus this tag team called Middlesex Express. And these two dudes, it was Stephen Broad and Stephen Lust. They were like, they called everybody chuds. And it's just like, just put these guys, it's like, they're just for nothing, they're not getting anything out of this really other than having fun and maybe progressing eventually.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey,
but putting it just all on the line and like doing such a great job for like, hard. Maybe 40, 50 people in the room. That was like, and I would have never known about it had I not gone to Murphy's and seen wrestling. It was bring your own chair.
Yeah.
It was, I showed up with a metal folding chair. My friend I was going with, he's like, that's the chair you brought? I was thinking like a camping chair. And I'm like, dude, it's wrestling. What else would I bring but a metal folding chair?
You can donate your chair if they need it.
They actually did a bring your own weapons match, I remember. And I was like, I don't want to be in that room in Manchester. Yeah. On Lake Ave in Manchester. You're going to do a bring your own weapons match? Right by Mike's Puppet Grub like that?
God, Mike's Puppet Grub. Yeah, no, I remember we'd sit there and watch them set up the ring. Like they'd take apart the whole ring, put it back together with, I guess they need to have different tension on the ropes, obviously, when you got to run ropes. Actually,
on this podcast channel, I had a different name for the podcast, but I recycled it. So the episode is still there. Nick Rage, I did. He was a wrestler. He was a short guy. Yeah. And I was like making jokes about his height, and he did the full podcast in character, and he played a heel character.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I remember he goes, you'll be the one on the ground looking up at me. You think I'm short or whatever. It was so good. It was really funny.
I love wrestling. That was like honestly the first sport that I really loved growing up. Which, I got into weightlifting because of wrestling, because I wanted to look like, Brock Lesnar, to be quite frankly,
you're there. Good job.
Yeah.
Goal achieved.
Yeah, no, that was like my big thing. Like, I was a fat ginger kid with a stutter. Yeah. So, I saw... I saw, Brock. I'm like, he kind of looks like me. I see Brock, Undertaker, Kane.
I mean, he sucks so much just talking. He had to have Paul Heyman next to him for his whole wrestling career.
Exactly. But when you look like that, you have that guy's athletic capabilities. Yeah. People make things happen for you. Shout out Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Brock rules. It was and like a true athlete. Like, I mean, it's amazing to watch a man that big move like that.
Yeah. I mean, and he's a legit, UFC heavyweight champion, NCAA champion. Like, that guy is no joke, absolute. I think, he's just one of those guys that just likes to work out for fun kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Brock ever out of shape.
No, it's like it doesn't seem like he really cares about much of anything else in life.
No.
So it's like, and when you're gonna be the best at it. When you're that guy, when you care about when you one track mind.
Oh yeah,
he
he just wants to be on his farm in Canada working out with his kids. That's all he wants. Nothing wrong with that.
All right, Zach, we're going to wrap this up here. Where do people find you? What's this Instagram account you're trying to grow?
So I just made this Instagram account last week at the Power Slap camp because they're like, dude, make your Instagram. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, you need to have some social media. So follow me at Lansing Zach. Just look it up on Instagram. Give me a follow. Be thankful. Follow me on this crazy journey. I'll be posting some stuff, going into detail about my training. I plan on really kind of entering like a fight camp kind of thing coming up. I'll be talking with, my boxing coach probably after this, calling her up, trying to figure out how we're going to train for this and how to like prepare.
Yeah, it's not like there's just a slap gym that you can walk into.
There's not, but I kind of know what's going to go into it. Like, I think flexibility is going to be a big part of it. So I can get a bigger wind up, I think more torque in, my slaps. And obviously, my coach, her brain, she knows everything about the human body. She can look at me and pick things apart, be like, oh, you're not using this muscle right. So I think she's going to be a very big part in this for me. You know what I mean? I have the body. She has the brains to tell me what to do. She's got me where I'm at now. I remember her training me in circus arts as a kid. And yes. And I thought it was so.
Well, there's a whole other podcast we can talk about that.
Oh yeah. But no. So find me on, Instagram, Lansing Zach. I'll be posting some weightlifting stuff if you want to see me lift some crazy weights.
And it's Zach, just Z-A-C?
Z-A-K.
Z-A-K.
So Z-A-K and Lansing as in the capital of Michigan. Oh, there's that stutter.
45 minutes only came out once. You're doing great. All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming in. I wish you the best of luck. I hope we see you with a championship belt around your waist or probably over your shoulder.
They got extenders on the belts.
All right. Well, we'll see it around your waist.
Thank you.
Thank you.